we're on. And we're on. Good afternoon, good evening, even good morning. Wherever you are in the I was going to be really clever then and like G, G no, it's gone. It's gone. Hi, welcome to Tenor Talks, the live stream from Tenor Reacts. So good to have you on board. We have a special guest making their way. Let me just check. Okay. And really excited. Really excited. And they've been on the channel before, and you probably know who it is. Okay. It's all about the drama and the you know, keeping it going. You know, you need to keep generating the interest here. Feel free, Gothlins, to jump in the comments section, say hello, and we will try and get to your comments. But the idea of the stream, at least today's stream, is more of a discussion. Okay, so if we don't jump onto your comment, okay, fear not, okay, it will be addressed at some point. Okay. So, have we got any? Hello. I keep forgetting to show the comment. I'm a lousy streamer. You guys probably know this. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Oh, hello. That sounded so awkward. Hello. Cheeky wee peek at work. How naughty. Yeah, I know. You see, you can't really you can't really trust me because but you can always, you know, that these live streams are being kept on YouTube, so you can always you know, at some point rewatch. Okay, that's not a problem. Okay, we're buzzing in the comments section. We're just what have I done? I've not done it right. Okay, yeah, okay, we're just waiting for the special guests. Okay, am I not doing something at my no. So how was your weekend? How was your weekend? Of course, everyone well, at least on social media. I don't know how it translates into the real world. Everyone's talking about Eurovision. Now, I didn't watch it. I can't tell you the last time I watched, if I ever did. You know, I can't tell you the last time I watched Eurovision. You know, so but do let us know in the comments section. Okay, we right. I'm gonna muck this up. Never put me in charge of anything technical because I'll right. No, it's not that. No. Oh, yeah, you silly person. me, not anyone else. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Hello.
Hello, hello. I saw you yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, you were coming back from the high street. Um, what time did I finish work? So it was after 4. Um,
Oh, I know. Yeah. I was about to
I don't
think,
know
what
what.
day is it?
Yeah. Who am I? Where am I?
All that,
um,
yeah.
yeah, right. But I don't know what made me look like I should be concentrating on the road. So I shouldn't be like, oh, bang. How did the accident happen, mister? Well, yeah, I saw my vocal coach and,
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
with you. I'm with you.
but when you just look, there must be a reason why I looked. And I thought, no one has that much style on a Sunday. It's got.
Well, I've just been on a date, actually.
I was going to say because I saw you with a very dapper. Oh, it was straight out of Praro, immaculately dressed. Oh, yeah. I haven't ruined it for you, have I?
No.
That's why I didn't shout. Rachel.
Oh, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have minded. And make me look popular.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get this. Have you got a time kind of for this? So
No, not. I haven't in particular.
I
I
just
mean,
thought you might have a lesson or a student afterwards.
no, I haven't. I am going
Right.
out later though, so I have to have some food and stuff. So, you know, same length as last time, be all right. Oh,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
lose my concentration though if it's any longer, to be honest. So,
You're
I'm
right.
like,
I do. I catch myself like on reactions, like just talking because my two lips can move same time. Um, this is a very interesting topic that we spoke about in a lesson a couple of lessons ago, actually. Um, Academic meets autism. And we got to thinking this would make a very good subject to air on Tenor Talks.
yeah,
Because I feel I don't know whether it's changed now, but certainly with YouTube that you're either one or the other. It's it can be a minefield, especially for if you don't get the academic side.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not stupid. I know what you know symbols used in music mean, but they do nothing for me.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like I can read music, but that's not going to help me singing a song.
yeah,
It's just right. This is in this octave, or you know, uh, label. I feel as though labels have always hindered me because I thought to be a good singer, you had to understand, digest, um, be this terribly clever scholar of song, and I was never that person. I and I think that's why it took me so long to break into music, because I felt, well, I'm not that person, you know, because my takeaway experience is completely different and no one's talking about it. So am I receiving it wrong? Am I the words, the symbols just didn't, it was just going in one ear and out the other. If I recall my music lessons at school, that they're like, okay, it's just like words. It's just like pretty symbols with, it didn't mean a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
And
totally agree. If you look at, I mean, who's the best singer in the world? You know, we can probably name some straight
Mhm.
off the bat, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, for sure.
Whitney Houston,
Yeah,
Stevie Wonder, who else? You know, Meatloaf. No, I
Freddie.
mean, yeah, Freddie, right? Did they have the technical knowledge? 9 times out of 10, no. I mean, obviously, some of them have the sort of either technical training or like the classical music training, but it's in addition to them being amazing singers. That's not what makes them amazing singers. And even when I read that compilation of little biographies by the most famous opera singers in the world, and obviously they do have more of a classical training, the stuff they were talking about, Pavarotti, for example, you know, he describes what was going on in his body in the same way that we do, and we're kind of like, oh, like it feels like this, you know, and you sort of reaching, clutching at straws, trying to get the words for it.
Yeah.
And he comes across as a complete amateur in terms of the technical side of it, you
Yeah.
know, but obviously he's not a
No,
complete amateur, you know.
no. That's the great thing, isn't it?
But it's like anything practical, because singing's a practical thing, you know, same as what, like sport or painting, anything. And then you get people who are interested in technical, you know, explanations, like more scientific explanations.
Yeah.
They come along and they put logic and mathematical equations and words to the thing that you're already doing, you know. So the fact that somebody came up with the concept of what they observed, oh, there's such a thing as M1 and M2. We've looked at the vocal cords. There's such a thing as there's different patterns that are being created.
Yeah.
That does not have any effect on a singer who's hearing that fact for the first time, you know. And it's not anything that they can control. The thing that you can control is, how does this feel in my body, or like what sort of mental imagery you're using to get you into these different functions, right? But
Yeah.
the fact that somebody's named it M1 and M2 makes no difference. And then, because it is such a practical thing and it's so sort of hidden in the body and it's so subjective and everybody's doing it differently, even though people are claiming to be doing the same things, but I know they're actually not, or the starting point isn't the same. The things that people are visualizing to make these changes in the voice are all subjective, you know. It's like we're trying to, I think singing more than anything, I've seen it in singing more than anything, we've already discovered the beauty of the human voice and the potential that it has. And we've almost reached its limitation, you know, in terms of you've got people who have worked out how to sing in the 8th and 9th octave, you know, those world record holders. It's like, okay, how can it get any higher than that? You know, how can a tone get any more beautiful than the tones that Pavarotti's producing, or Whitney Houston, or all the resonance is there. It's all aligned in a mathematical formula, and it can't really get any better than that in terms of beauty. So the only thing we can do now is to try and get more accurate at explaining exactly what that is through science. But that has nothing to do with actual singing, you know, but it is interesting. I find it interesting. I like technical stuff. I'm interested in science, but it doesn't really matter, you know. I'll get a handful of students who want to know all the technicalities. You know, sometimes I don't know. I have to go and like research it. And then like the research will change, and then my opinion of the research will change. And that's kind of one thing that's separate. But then the actual music itself and the actual singing, that's about finding out what helps the student. And it does not matter what it is. Like, you know, if they warm up by yelling a certain word and then they're straight into the voice that they want to use for that performance, I'm not going to turn around and go, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing it like this, when they're going on stage and it's working for them. Like, who am I to change that? You know, that's what I kind of see with coaches in general. And that's been my experience as well. Not all the time, but with certain coaches that I've had, you know, it's either, well, this works for me, so this is what you should be doing, or this is the generally agreed upon way that it should work, so this is what you should be doing, or this is what my singing teacher taught me. And it's like, it's almost like people are ashamed to kind of admit that, well, there is this particular way of warming up, which is really helpful. But I actually have my own personal little thing of like, I like to make puppy dog noises, and that's what warms my voice up. But nobody will admit to that because it's not the proper way, you know?
Well, it's almost the music equivalent to one size fits all.
Yeah.
And on paper, yeah, in an ideal world, you know, you wouldn't scream, because there's so many, like especially if you're untrained and you're not sure how far to push your voice. There's a real danger of putting the voice in traction, you know. But the thing with, like, I've found with all these coaches that, you know, have a strict almost like army kind of, you know, do this, it sucks all the fun out of it.
Yeah, it
I,
does.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you've got to play with your voice to discover its limitations and strengths. If you don't, there's a real danger of being on the edge of something, but not going that extra distance, and then it flipping over. Oh, wow, I'm into whistle. Oh, all I needed was a bit of courage. That has happened to me. You know, I'm not a whistle singer, but I have whistle. You know, I don't use it, don't need to, but I needed to thin the voice out ultra thin for it to flip over into, oh, this is what it feels like. That is the key. Feels like, because as I've said, you know, you can give me like an old, like, do these in 8 simple steps to find your whistle voice. Okay, I'm not gonna sit there and step 1, step 2, right? I haven't got time for that. And I don't think it's practically helpful. It's never helped me. I'm not saying some of those steps haven't got merit, you know, especially if they're teaching the health side. But sometimes you just need to take a risk. And I have, you know, I had to give my voice permission to, it's all right. I stole a complete line from Matilda the musical. It's all right to be a bit naughty, or
Oh God.
sometimes you have to be a bit
Yes.
naughty. You know, because because if you don't, it's it can musically feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall and not getting anywhere.
I totally agree. And the human body is designed to respond to what's happening. Like, you, you know, if your friend's about to run out into the road and there's a car coming, you bet your bottom dollar that your yell is going to work. Like you're not going to be thinking about it first. It's going to come out.
Yeah,
Like, so if you're singing like a powerful voice and you've like got into the sort of emotion of the song, you're going along, you're building up to this big climactic part, you know, if you just go for it, sometimes it's going to work, right? Because your body, it's geared up for that. You've got the adrenaline going, the song's going well, you're believing that you can do it, you know, like when you're having a good voice day.
yeah,
Like a lot of the time, yes, the ongoing training is really important, especially to support the voice when it is taking risks. But 9 times out of 10, anything extreme that I've found in my voice, I found it for the first time by just going for it without really thinking, you know?
yeah. I I mean it. I think it's also important at this point of the live stream to, we're not saying one is better than the other. Okay, but before we get, you know, well, I was taught at Oxford, and you know, I understand what, you know. Hold yourself. You know, check in with yourself. We're not saying for 1 second one's better than the other, but I find it interesting the way they're both the same starting. You know, they both involve music, but the middle ground and the end result is, well, the end result is the same as far as I'm concerned, because you understand that the say thinning out like cry, okay, and academically I could read a document that goes through physically what it is and what the vocal cords are doing, and they need to lengthen, and they need to go through certain processes to get, you know, you from chest to like, so they're making the transition, um or as an actor I could just draw on, right, what am I feeling in this moment. I need to, and that works more for me. Sorry.
That's all right.
um that works more for me. It's quicker for someone like me. Now I'm not saying I could, because you're right, you know, it is fascinating, it really is, but you've got to understand what you're musically digesting, eating. drinking. Like even when I'm saying that, I'm all about texture, feeling. How is this like? And it absorbs into me as a singer. And I do find the academic stuff hugely fascinating, but I just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's cool, but the advantage of having a good coach, I mean, the thing is, if you find a really good singing coach, that's everything, right? But if you find a coach who is, ramming something down your throat that's not working for you, that's detrimental. You're better off doing it on your own, I think, because it can be demoralizing. Like, I will give people a step by step of how to do something, but it will be in the moment when I'm already there observing what they're already doing. So I'm not going to say the same thing to everyone. If we're trying to get into mixed voice, for example, I might say to one of my female singers, let's listen to Eva Cassidy and I'll just copy her tone. That 9 times out of 10 you'll be in mixed voice. That's how I found it. Like, it depends where somebody already is, and then it's like, okay, add more of this, do this more, and what kind of person they are, and I've built up a relationship with them, so I know what they respond to, what they don't respond to, what they're visualizing as being chest voice, because not everybody's visualizing things in the same way. It's like you visualizing chest voice as being beefy, dark,
And that,
heavy.
I mean, that was how I try not to go there anymore with the thoughts, but they're the dark thoughts. But that is a very good example of how academic studies held me back, because I thought that's what chest voice was. I'm thinking it's chest. By the by, guys, I'm talking about at the very, very, very start of my, training.
Yeah.
Um, I I thought, right, chest, and I was watching all these, tutorial videos. Feel the vibrations here, and I'm thinking, right, uh, and 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 then the mix. Well, the mix was like it might as well have been another planet as far as I was concerned, because I could not relate to that. Because how do I bridge? I always had a super head voice, so I didn't need to worry. That sounds so egotistical, but I didn't need to pay pay because I would just like ping, and that was the first uh, area of my voice where that the ping. I've got the ping. Well, I want the ping further down, like what all opera singers talk about. The ping, the ring. I want that, and it took so long. So, I mean, remember, I think it was the first ever lesson we had, when you asked me to demonstrate to get a clearer understanding of my voice at that time, and I did Phantom, and I was like, it was really, really dark. It was really uncomfortable as well. But I thought, well, other people must just suck up that uncomfortable. That's how it's supposed to be. I didn't. I didn't know how to negotiate, I suppose, different. You know, so instead of it being the complete voice, now of course I can dip in and out on one note. yeah, and then come on. I use it as a springboard,
Yeah.
as opposed to living down there with squatters' rights.
Well, that's it. But then when we said, oh, it's your speaking voice, say it in your speaking voice, and then as you go higher, just track the resonance, just keep the tonal quality or the texture the same as your speaking voice, and that's chest voice. And you're like, oh, and then it was easy, right?
Yeah, because I could relate it to something. You know, I mean, there are songs that I would sing like with a more chest dominant mix. Like if I was doing a classical, um, "You'll Never Walk Alone," you know, I would, but not fully. There and now I understand, you know, a whole lot better. You know, light and dark. You know, things are much. The story is much more interesting with light and dark overtones instead of this like really um kind of uh, and I'm sure it sounded uncomfortable as well. So it's taken me all this time to. So I've borrowed from you know academic studies that I've read just to understand what I was doing wrong. So you know, academic studies have helped me. So I take that away and right, this is what's happening. How do I fix it? How do I? Because you can't give me that. I've got to work on that myself. And you know, when my voice started to really, oh, oh yeah. Now we can plug in and play, as it were. Was when I started to lighten up that chest voice.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, everything suddenly changed. It was like,
yeah,
I can work with this. I can actually sound a bit decent down the lower end,
yeah.
instead of like someone strangling the vocal cords. You
That's
know,
right. And it still sounds beefy. People think for the low notes, if they're not reaching down and having it on the heaviest sort of feeling possible, that it's not going to sound deep enough. But it's the same as, because obviously I do sound engineering as well. And I was mixing something this morning actually for this rock singer. And he was doing his choruses high, but his verses were all based around like E2, so super low, right?
wow.
And when I was EQing it, so obviously the fundamental, the actual note was being sung, I think it's 82 hertz is the E2, right? So that's where the bass drum is, right, as well.
Right.
And his whole voice sounded like muffling. It didn't sound deep, it sounded muffling. So I didn't turn up the 82. I turned up the double of that, and then the double again, like around the 400 and the 800, right? So like the higher overtones, and then all of a sudden it cut through the mix, and it sounded low, deep, resonant, but it had to be that the higher frequencies were amplified so that you had that like presence and it wasn't just all boom. Because if you're singing low and dark, your voice is all boom and no presence. So you actually can't hear the tone as well as you can if you like allow some nasality to come in, allow like the hardness of the voice, you know. Rather than the like
Yeah.
that. It has no bite.
No. And I mean, certainly with me, as soon as I found my tone. It's like, well, green light, green light, green. Everything kind of came forward with that tone. I, I think once you find things within your voice, it's not one thing or another. It's right. You've got your tone, but you also need this, so we're going to push that up as well. And
Yes.
it's not one thing you've just found. You're thinking. I mean, I almost get cartwheels when and I noticed it in a song. It's not like I was octave leaping. I'm thinking, when did that happen? You don't notice because you're too busy training and having a good time. And once you get over the because at the start it sucks because you've got nothing to work with. I noticed this with Jacob. Jacob likes to sing, but and he will only show me his voice. And it's the projection isn't there. It's under the note, and not just a few under the notes, but it's like, and he's got a bit of vibrato, but nothing too like. And I wish he'd just like go to you because I think on the outside of it, he would make a really good baritone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish he believed in himself, and that's the other thing as well. I spoke about this on, I think it was Friday's live stream. The confidence has to be there, and the confidence I think grows as you grow. Your voice grows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So so we know that I don't do um I find it interesting and I find the studies interesting, but it might just be me, but I just like my head like gets bored because they really do go these studies really do go into like everything. I'm thinking, can we just get to the reason why I'm visiting your site today? It's you know that's a me thing, but it's very interesting. But on a practical level, as far as I'm concerned, I can't relate to it. And if it weren't for my autism, I don't think I would have ever found out that listening to music, it's like I know the notes, and I've discussed this in a lesson with you as well. You know that I see them in color form,
Mm.
and you've got indigo, you've got jade, you've got and trying to get that into the public platform. I wish my audience could see what I see up here, and it doesn't hang around. It's like as the notes change, it's like you know that's my that's one of the good autistic things that I appreciate. Because not everyone sees music like that or has that takeaway experience. So I feel privileged actually. Uh, um, I think with me as well, voice acting, well, just being an actor, really. has helped me in my journey where we are now.
Mm.
You know, because I'm all about character. You know, if I can't tap into that character, I can't sing him. I can't do anything with him. You know, I've got to flesh him out. I've got to know, right, who is this? Who's this dude? You know, what's his motive? What's he hoping to get in the middle eight? You know, all these like uh, um I mean, we last week we did night and day, and you know, I've always wanted to have a go at jazz, but I thought this is what I mean about you know, things holding you back, because I thought, right, well, it's got to be in your voice to start with. You've got to sound like a jazz singer, you know, and I sound nothing like a jazz singer, you know, and I had this in my head. The worst case scenario, me trying to sing, you know, night and day, and it's all going to go wrong, and I'm going to uh, be too classical, and you know, and it'll end up as a parody. You know, opera tries jazz. You know, so I'm upsetting the two communities, the opera community as well as the jazz community. um, the ownership on that is completely mine, because I think I've got a lot better now. Don't think too much about it. Don't think where your voice is. Don't think where your voice is going. Just do it and have as much fun as you can. And when you shrug off that pressure, you're really opening yourself up to fantastic self opportunities. Because you've not got a preconceived notion, I suppose. I don't know. Of what it should be. And if it's not that, it's rubbish. It's trash. Trash. Throw it in the open fire. It's and it's taken me a long time. And guys watching, you know, one day on my deathbed, I might release my early recordings. Who knows? I sounded rough. But it's only happened recently, where I think it's an age thing as well, because like I'm in my 40s and I'm thinking, right, I know what my mother would have said. She said, right, you've got all this and you're still not doing anything with it. She would have been really hard on me. Like, you wanted a tone, you've got a tone. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Seriously, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect voice, you know, and she would have been hard. But, you know, I like the idea, for me, that I can tap in, weave in and out of, and sometimes two characters. Like during a song, I'll start as one character, and then, right, this character don't fit the heady part. So, and suddenly this song's got two major characters,
Yeah.
but they're still the same, but to yeah, right. But I know what I mean. You know, because that helps me. That
Yeah, well, I
really,
remember you brought this to light really, because I've always done this, right? But I've never ever seen it as a legitimate teaching practice, like the idea of characters. I didn't know I was doing this either. It was unconscious. But when we were kind of going, all right, have some Freddie Mercury there. Oh no, you need more Ethel. Like you need less of this, like more of him, less of her. Like imagine that it's Ethel, but she's singing in his voice, like all of that. And it was like, if you wanted to make that technical and put that into technical language, I'm sure somebody could come along and go, oh well, he was adding more cry mode there, and there he was going into M2, and there he was adding more chest voice and less squealo. So you can describe it in that way. But if we'd have tried describing it in those terms, well, who knows what that even means? But if it's characters, you know what they sound like and you're used to doing the voices of them. Like when I want to do more cry mode, for example, if I feel like my voice is straining a little bit because I'm singing like in the high chest voice, but not belty, it can feel a bit strained if I stay there throughout a whole song. But what I do is, technically speaking, and it's not even technical, this is a colloquial term, I add more cry mode, right? But if you want to get really technical about it, I am adding more laryngeal tilt, right? But what I'm actually thinking of isn't any of those things. I'm thinking of Amy Lee out of Evanescence. I'm adding more of her.
yeah, love
That's
her.
what helps. That's what helps, you know, because it doesn't just give me the feeling, it gives me the right tone, the right volume, the right emotional delivery, the right vowel palette, lots of different things. So, you know, if you're just thinking technically, you can't describe all the components of a voice, right? You can identify some of them. And you can go, all right, do that with more laryngeal tilt, a little bit more darkness, a little bit more volume, more cry, lots of different elements. And then the person does that, but there's still something missing, you know. And if instead it's like, all right, do Amy Lee's voice, there it is. And what is it about that? We don't really know, because we haven't identified all the parts of the voice. You know, there's something about color, emotion, the EQ of the voice, like the frequencies that are being amplified, the push and pull. You know, it's all these artistic things. It goes into territory that we haven't really got words for, and we probably never will. So if you're imitating a voice, you're going to bring more of these elements, the ones that haven't got words, and the ones that can't be described using language. So it's a better system. It's a better way of doing it, in my opinion.
I mean, I certainly find the the reactions that I'm happy to put my name against are the ones like last Christmas. I did like the Muppets, Christmas Carol, and a few. I had the time of my life because I actually felt I'm qualified to talk about this. You know, I
Yeah.
still don't. I know I'm a singer, but I don't feel. I always feel like a bit of a fraud, you know, because I don't have those technical terms. I kind of understand what they mean, but if you were to ask me, right, swap it around, how does it feel for you? Oh, well, you know, we're and I would bore the room stupidly, but you know, um, I I don't understand. I mean, all those technical words are like mush in my head. it's like they don't actually, for me, they're just labels for something that's happening, or something that describes an action, or the more you go into it, or what's happening. That's why I tend to now, just because everyone's got feelings. You don't need to be, a musician to have a sense of emotion attached to a song. So I try to kind of home in on that more than, you know, well, I do, like, I'm a geek for vowels. As you know, I love ooh, and what's the other one? Oh, e.
E.
Yes, love it. Love the way that spins around in the mouth.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm a very touchy feely kind of, and that really plays out when I'm dealing with a song, because you know you've got to, even if it's an established song with an established sound, I chuck that in the trash. And what does this song mean to me? Because I'm not going to do it the same as the other people. That the other, like, let me get a grip on it. Uh, um, for me to actually do a song justice, the energy has to be right in the room. I mean, that's what makes me laugh. I was with a friend the other day, and um, he introduced me as a singer to one of his friends, and this friend said, "Oh, give us a song." And I'm like, well, first of all, I thought, "How dare you?" Um, it's expecting a 5-year-old child to, you know, play to a room if they've got a cute, like, little sideline. It for me, I can't do that. I can't just, yeah, I can just sing, but the energy for me has to be right.
Yeah,
And
well, nobody, I said to someone once, it was kind of one of those. See, people have a knee-jerk reaction when you say you're a singer. They don't know how to react, and it's like Tourette's, and it just comes out like, "Give us a song," And somebody said that to me once, and I said, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And he said, "I'm an accountant." I said, "Do my accounts."
yeah,
You
yeah,
want me to do my job? Well, I'm at a party. You do your job.
that's
I
why
think it was a little bit tipsy, to be honest. That's proper bitchy, that, isn't it? But that, it's like I do not perform. I'm not a performing monkey. I perform
no,
on my terms only. I
yeah,
don't start singing when somebody tells me to. I don't like singing in front of small groups. I don't like singing in front of one person. I like singing on my own. I like singing in front of large audiences, and I like singing in front of, like, the musicians that I'm working with, and I like singing in front of my students. But I don't put any pressure on myself. If I don't like doing something, I don't beat myself up for that. It should be on your terms.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why, I'm happy to send, like, the whole dynamics of my singing have changed so much that, I told you ages ago, in lessons, that the way I perform now at home, just view it as jamming. Don't put pressure unnecessarily so on yourself, because most songs are hard enough anyway to you know. And with the other thing, the most, if not all, singers are so judgmental, and that's rubbish. Do it again, do it again. And when you go back to it, actually, the first take was it. You know,
Always, because because you don't care that much on the first take. So it's just flowing out, and there's always a rawness about it, and like a genuineness. And then by the 100th, I mean, I've done recording sessions on my own, and I've had like all the takes there, and it's gone over the hundreds. And it's never the 100th take. It's never the 80th or the 60th or the 20th. It's never anything above 4 or 5. If I'm not going to get it by then, I need to reassess what I'm doing, like just repeating it is not really going to do it, So that's just being really hard on yourself. It might not be the right song choice. It might not be in the right key. You might need to sit down and think, do I need to change the vowel here, make it easier, or make it sound better there, or just change the melody up a little bit? It's going too high, but I think we get it in our heads. We just repeat and repeat and repeat, and eventually we'll be happy with it. We won't. We're going to be less happy with it because we hate the song by then,
Yeah, what made me choose 6-3 or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
The dynamics have certainly shifted because I'm less kind of anal, I guess, about singing now. I don't know if you've noticed that in lessons, but I'm less uptight. I enjoy it. I actually enjoy even warm-ups. You know,
do you remember when I was like, it's only the first note, like you're like, right, I'm gonna sing now, but you're so fixated on getting the first note exactly right. And it was like, no, just start it, let it be wrong, and you get into it about halfway through, and then you go and start again, it's like, as long as I get the first note with anal precision, then nothing can go wrong, and it's like just overthinking on the first note. Like, we've got to stop doing that.
Well, for me, I even took, like you were saying, like the even the warm-ups had to be like dead on, and oh no, that I was a bit like and I got so like, for God's sake, they are just warm-ups.
But the irony of that, like, you're doing a warm-up and you're expecting yourself to have a fully warmed up voice, tone, pitch, all the stuff that you're trying to warm up. It's like you're expecting to go from freezing cold to boiling hot with no steps in between, But I'm the same though. I will plan something, work on it, and I want to execute it with precision the first time, because I've done all this mental planning and it never goes to plan. That's why I really like the fact that you do a lot of jamming sessions and you just throw the stuff at me. It's like, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and none of it's a finished thing. And it isn't. Like, that's not the goal. You're just aiming to just use the voice and experiment. And that's, I wish more people would do that. People are so precious about things. They don't want to show any recordings, unless it's perfect. So it's a good thing that you've always done that, you have, like, recently anyway.
Yeah, and it is a recent thing, because I think I'm not going to be around forever, and when I go, what's going to be Nothing, because nothing's been released. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm really interested. The confidence with me is such that I might probably, possibly, even do the whole YouTube short thing just to get 15 seconds out there. This is what I'm working on. I
Yeah.
love it, hate it. I really don't care. Now,
Yeah.
before I wanted my voice to be loved by everyone. If anyone said an unkind word, I think I would have like I tried so hard on that top D. You
Yeah,
know?
but don't like look at the way people do critiques of the best singers in the world. Whitney Houston, she got so many bloody critique videos out there, you know. So it's like, well, if it's good enough for Whitney, if she's going to get criticized, then why do we think we're not going to get criticized? You know what I mean? And it's like, you have to make mistakes, have things cringy. Like, there's so many videos on my YouTube that I've taken down because I look back at it and I'm like, oh, I can do better than that now. And I take it down, it had its place. And it's fine. I'm fine with doing that. You know, like you don't need to leave it up there if you've moved on from it or if you decide actually, you know, but you just, it's just that forward momentum of, right, I've done this. I'm not doing that anymore because I've done it. I get good feedback, bad feedback. All right, I'm going to now better myself because the criticisms do spur you on, you know, hopefully. They do with me. It's self-criticism really though. You know, people are generally kind actually, you know.
Yeah, I will say, because I thought I was gonna get flack when the whole YouTube thing started to like make numbers for me. I thought I don't know what they're expecting, you know, because the clue is in the name. Tenor reacts. I do. Here I am. You know, it's and it didn't take long for me to. They really wanted me to sing. Okay, this isn't the place. I might demonstrate, you know, what they're doing, but I want to keep the two separate. You know, and I am working on releasing like some proper music too, but I think certainly at the start of the journey, and it's very interesting having a look at you at the start and then you now, how much so much has changed. It is like two different people, because at the start I was very egotistical, you know, and I didn't like anyone saying anything, even from a vocal coach, anything detrimental about my voice. And I used to get all huffy and how dare you, do you know how? And if I was looking at it now, I would say that's trash. You know, that's not even like, I can view it in a completely different way. Um and I think you have to go through that circle of, we all know that when you start singing, you know, it is hard at the start. It is grueling. You know, you end up hating scales, you know, and you can't see the benefit in them at the start. And I'm just lucky, fortunate, really fortunate that I came out the other side and didn't give in right when, well, I've got no tone, no resonance. What am I wasting my money for? I will do accountant, you know, or I will try something else, you know, and people are very kind about my voice and YouTube channel in general. I have more um, love for the stuff I do than hate for the stuff I don't. You know, you're always going to get jerks on the net, and I can see it for what it is now. You know, but the confidence, you've got to believe in your product. Essentially, you've got to think, well, I can't do any better than that at the moment. And the
Yeah.
way, and I think I said to you, whenever it was, my philosophy when it comes to music, it's almost like a time capsule. So this day, this time, this moment, this song, put them all together, that will never happen again. It's locked in time.
Mm.
And that's what I try to make my reactions. You know what I mean? It's not. I can't keep on doing it, redoing it, because I would lose like all like. Hi guys, welcome. It would be like I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about you know, the autistic musician, you know, what are your views and findings with their walk into music, I guess, you know, compared to someone that has had, you know, a more traditional, I don't know what to call it, you know, but they have studied it with the books, and they, you know, is there a huge difference with someone's takeaway, students takeaway?
Well, with autistic versus neurotypical.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't want to say that all autistic people are the same, but
No.
I have noticed, and this is not just with autistic people, this tends to be with technically minded people and certain personality types, like certain introverted personality types, and autistic people tend to be very laser focused on certain aspects. They'll hone in on certain aspects of the learning, and they'll want to understand it, and they don't like it when there's not a concrete answer, right? And I'm the same. I'm not autistic, but when I do those online tests, it always comes up as a little bit more autistic than the average person, right? And I can see that in myself, because I get very like interested in things and I want to know everything about it. So obviously that applied to music and singing. So I've been there, and I've been there where I've had teachers and I'm going, but what's like, why is it like that? But why is this called this? Why do I have to do this? And I want to know the proper why, so that I'm satisfied. I have noticed that with autistic people and technically minded people, and they're not satisfied with, well, you know, if you just do this training, you know, eventually the voice will get trained. You know, they want to know why. And and have an explanation that is accurate. And the problem with singing is that there are not really any accurate answers that are scientifically black and white accurate. And I think when we kind of say that and admit that and say, look, it's called this, this is what people tend to call it, this is what is tend to be meant by chest voice, head voice. Oh, now new research has come out, M1 and M2. So they found that in chest voice, you know, the M1 vibrational pattern is present, this, that, and the other. And I think as long as you have a teacher and a community that admits that it doesn't know everything, sorry, I think that's kind of satisfying enough, you know. But the problem comes when people insist that they have the black and white answer. And then you say, okay, so what is the black and white answer? And they explain it in a way that's not black and white. And it's like a form of gaslighting.
Yeah.
So I appreciate working with autistic people, introverts, technically minded people who want to know why, because they will grill the hell out of me. And eventually I'll say, all right, it might be this and it might be this, but I'm not really that sure. So let's explore it. And it's more of a two-way thing. And that's the kind of relationship I like to have with people who are teaching me anything, you know, unless it's maths, which has a black and white, right or wrong answer, right? I like to learn from people who I like the sound of their voice and I like their technique. So I'll come at it from a point of view of, what are you doing? Whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's like, what are you doing? You know, so
Yeah.
I tend to teach in that way as well. Like, okay, so if, you know, this is the way I do it. Like if somebody likes the way I'm doing something, I can tell you how I do it. Or like they have a particular learning style. So I kind of tailor it for them, you know. So because autistic students can be so grilly, like, and want the answers and want to be satisfied with the answer, that has really made me sit up and think, right, don't, you know, you can talk all this technical jargon to some people, right? But to other people, it's not going to cut the mustard. Like they're going to call you out, right?
Yeah.
So I love working with neurodiverse people for that reason, but especially on the autism spectrum, you are, you know, I feel called to a bit of a higher standard, really, in some respects. And it's also helped me to admit to myself, like, okay, whilst I know what this is in terms of the science, whatever, I'm actually not relating to that as hard as I'm relating to doing voices and characters, for example.
I mean that's a very good. We are like demons, you know. But why? I need to know why. And a perfect example is my fascination, and I don't know why. Uh, but Thomas the Tank, the way that is presented to my ears, it starts from bar one. I uh, I can't get to why. And then you try and it could be this, it could be that, it could be and there's a tiny section where it changes everything, like do 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 do. Oh, I love it. I love it. I can't get any solid answers. Now, I've been to YouTube videos where um they've explained the music going quite in depth, and that's really interesting, but that's not feeding why I'm feeling that my whole it's quite emotional. And I've had people laugh in my face, and people can be quite cruel to autistic people, as my first year on YouTube will demonstrate. I've had people like really be cruel. Um, but I wouldn't swap my cringe worthy. At least I'm showing emotion through music. At least I'm not, you know, oh, that was nice, or that was good, or, I'm showing real emotion. And Thomas the Tank for me is so, I could cry. I
Well,
could
you
absolutely cry about it.
you probably have a sensory thing, right? Where your sense of your senses are heightened,
Yeah.
or your sensory experience is heightened. Again, I do relate to this, but probably not as much as you. But when you're hearing that thing, whatever it is, it's really stimulating,
Yeah.
and it's amplified. That sensory experience of music is amplified, and it's making you feel all kinds of things because it's so strong.
And when I was in the middle of a autistic meltdown, I think it was November during the fireworks, and I did a bit of trickery on Adobe and had that on loop. That duh, 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 duh. I had that on loop to get me through, and it was just like the best comforter ever. Um, I mean, I've never been able to even get remotely close to what it is about that. It is certain pieces of music. Um, and I mean, another classic example is a classical piece. Hungarian Rhapsody too. That frantic piece of, I think it's right in the middle, where the tempo is like, you can imagine it going through every single key signature.
Oh yeah, who's
It's
that by now?
a list.
Oh, his music's crazy.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the folk influences that are coming from that. And to me, that's like an opera from start to finish, because it's so theatrical, and I love that. And that's why I do what I do on YouTube. That's why I do what I do, singing, because it it stimulates me. It is my and after years and years and years of being bullied and like, you're a freak, your place in society isn't with us, it's over there. And I've always felt like over there,
With
pushed.
the musicians, though.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind being pushed over there with
In the
the
cool club now.
but I it freaked me out. I'll tell you this, Rachel. It did freak me out because I didn't know. I probably knew I had some form of autism, but I hadn't been diagnosed properly. So,
Mm.
and all these amazing moments were happening during my favorite songs. Like there were sections when, and I speak about this on Tenor Reacts, most videos. It seems like where I want to laugh, but I also want to cry, and it's that one emotion. It's like, what am I doing? Am I crying? Am I? And I end up doing both. Going from
Yeah.
one extreme to the other.
That's why it's crazy to me when people say that autistic people don't have a range of emotions, they're less emotional. I think you all are more emotional and you have a larger range of emotions. And I think you're feeling it. This is my experience. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like to me you're experiencing things internally in such a colorful and intense way. And you can't let all of that out because people are going to be too overwhelmed by it, so you have to keep a lot of it inside.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, and I mean, you definitely don't come across as if you have any lack of social skills or anything like that. But I know some autistic people do, especially when they first turn up for lessons and they don't know me and they have to trust me.
Yeah.
And then they start letting slip what's going on in their brains, and it's really fascinating. But obviously, you're all used to kind of holding it in because you don't know whether you're going to get judged or not,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, not so much now because I've got the most brilliant group of fans for my work and music in general. I've the most beautiful fan base on the internet. I've even given them their own Gothlin handle. I love
Ah,
them. You know, um, and they really. I think that's one of the qualities from me that people get because I don't hide away. Now, before years ago, before I would like, no, I can't have that one going out. They're gonna call me all kinds of things in the comments that right, cut, and it's like you've watered down your takeaway experience to nothing, to everyone else's takeaway experience. Bring it back, and yeah, a reaction from me could be 15 minutes, but it's a real reaction. It's a real moment. And, you know, I don't like every piece of music. Sometimes I'm thinking, when is it going to start? When is that energy going to pick me up and like do a tango with me or something? I don't mind as long as something happens. Now, I get angry about music as well. That's being autistic. It's very much um the only way I can describe music for me as autistic is it kind of touches, prods certain parts, and I've danced with musical notes before in a single section, and I'm thinking, please don't let go. Please don't. Now, I don't say all that. I do now. I don't say that in reactions because I tend to get lost in the mouth and you know what we're talking about again, that kind of that kind of thing. But
yeah.
I really have a personal connection to each and every piece of music um moment I'm reacting to. If I don't get it, if I don't nothing's happening, well that's gonna still go out. I'm not gonna just put out the me screaming at top G, because this is too much even for me. You know, I'm not going to alter it. You know, it is what it is. You know, I love these moments, sections in music that might be one bar, it might be a couple, but it's like it might even be a slide. Do you know what I mean? From a vocalist, like ba 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 ba. Oh, why is that? Is it just the slide, or is it underneath the music and underneath and like trying to like take that all apart is I mean going back to how emotional I can be, like the theme from Casualty, you know,
Mm.
very early on Casualty theme when you really got that. And I remember thinking I was still home, you know, and we used to watch it of a Saturday night, and they used to play the whole thing, and the credits were going up, and you used to get the dun dun dun. It's not just a drum; it's dun dun dun. It was like, and then it kicks. Oh, and I mean, of course, my brother thought I was like round the what's it, but you know, it's those moments in music that often can't be explained, but I'm not sure I would want them to be explained though,
No,
because
me neither.
if you explained them, there's a real risk that the next time you go and visit that song, because it's well, this is happening, this is why it's happening. Oh, okay. It's like deflated. I mean, it might not be the case. It might not happen that way, but it's too much of a risk that it's almost like you want to keep it as a precious, like
Mm-hmm.
stone and
Yep.
gem. Uh,
Yep.
um, so I'm so glad that we got to talk about this, because I don't, especially now where autism is in the public domain and more people are talking about autism, and it's gathering attention, you know, because when I was diagnosed, it was very much taboo. No one spoke of it. I'm not saying it was a family secret in my family, but you know, it was almost, oh, that's just Nat.
Yeah, of
You know,
course. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
went hand in hand with my sexuality.
Yeah,
You know,
I know, I know.
you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It was
I'll
like,
relate to that. Like, obviously, I got diagnosed with ADHD, but it was, oh, Rachel, like she's creative, like she's a bit eccentric. Like, it's like that sort of thing, isn't it?
she wears odd socks at the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I might be gay, but that don't explain why. I think genuinely people thought my music takeaway was me just hamming it up, camping it up, you know, for the sake of it, not really for no good reason, just to get a cheap like laugh, or and that wasn't the case. And do you know what I? At the start of the YouTube journey, I was so fearful of, right, I've got to wear this autistic mask, okay? Because in my head, I'm thinking, right, if I can draw on a YouTuber that I admire that does the same kind of stuff that I'm hoping to do, I can get through this. I wanted to be the perfect YouTuber for so long. I just wanted to be professional. I wanted to. It didn't work out that way, and
But
I'm
you
glad
find
it
your
didn't.
way. But don't
Yeah,
you think it boosts your confidence when you watch your own videos back and you're like, oh, I actually like the way I come across, like, you know, and you find your own way. I think it's really good for the confidence, like, you know, to sort of see, like, watch yourself back, you know, and you can kind of tweak it the next time. But
yeah. I mean, I I regularly watch myself back, and I appear so confident because
yeah,
I'm talking about something I'm really passionate about.
yeah.
And I'm like, right, mind blown. This is why. Boom, boom. The placement, but it's a modulation, and the modulation is like, I'm not sure, and I can't speak fast enough. It's like I'm a gibbering kind of shipwreck. Um, but that is it. When you get me on, and and not only me, you know, autistic people in general, you get them on a passionate subject. Okay, you're here for the duration, you know, because they will. And I love that about me because it is so passionate and such a rite of passion. Um, and I think the way my journey into music has kind of opened up, and I've gained new skills and all that good stuff, I feel confident and qualified to, yeah, okay, if you want that, and I say it all the time, right? If you want the boring technicals, this is what's happening. A nice open placement, and it's shooting, and but I don't spend too much time on that. You know, that's not for me to say to kind of um I can give it. I can probably, you know, tell the audience, right, if you're really interested, this is what's going on. But let's get back to how I'm feeling in this moment. And you should be feeling as well, because this is like mega. And that's where it is for me. So I'm probably a contradiction in terms as a singer, because when you think of a singer doing this kind of thing on YouTube and in the reaction community, you're probably expecting, oh, they're gonna come at me with all these, like, you know, breakdowns. And I think I've got it probably in a more balanced uh, uh you know, where yes, you will get that from me, but it's not it's not wholehearted. It's not the whole picture. You'll get emotions from me, and you know, from day one, that was my right. I'm emotional. Um, I'm not going to hide it, because why should I? You know, and I don't want to be like every other reactor out there. You know, I want, this is me, and I want to, you know, share my experience on an emotive level, you know, because it always really, I think you can always tell a, like, um whitewash emotion. You know, it's not the full, and that's fine. If you're not that person, you're not that person. But I kind of wanted, you know, my, I always knew that there were more people like me that felt the same way about certain sections as me. and I was determined that it wasn't going to be a taboo. Um, and I say all the time, I've got to feel it to sing it. If I can't feel emotion, and not all emotions on the same level, some is really hard to get into because it's really like dark and really quite scary. So if you've got to sing from that place, I mean, I don't know if when I did tell you this, but I'm beginning to view acting character, singing character in the same like universe.
Yeah,
You know,
good. Yeah.
it's I just thought for ages that to be a singer you had to adopt the almost like getting into this pose, and you had to sound a certain way, and you know you can, but you don't have to. You know what I
No.
mean? It's um well, it's been an absolute. I find this, as I said, this subject so fascinating because I don't know if other videos have touched upon this in our field, in the industry of music. Um, but I
Nah, nobody admits it. 'Cause you've got all the
curses.
technical people. No one's going to admit to the sort of rogue way of looking at it. But
Rogue.
apart from the actual singers, like, and obviously they're not breaking stuff down. They're not getting asked, you know. It's like I like to hear interviews with singers who
Yeah,
don't know anything about singing, but obviously they do know a lot because they're doing it. But
yeah.
you can learn a lot.
There's always that thing, isn't there? You do it, but you don't necessarily know how you're doing it.
No, and they're not
I
teachers, so they're not going to be wanting to teach. Like teachers are going to put stuff on YouTube to teach. Singers are going to put their singing on YouTube, but they're not teaching, so we don't get to hear what they say about it. That's the crucial element that we're missing, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the only way I think I could describe, I mean, there's not many characters that I voice that actually sing, believe it or not. That there's Ethel. I think Mae West sang a bit, but
Hmm.
she was more known for her acting chops. Um, and but I don't notice. I really don't notice. I could probably give you a few, right, to do Mae West, engage a bit of vocal fry, get that onset going, that but you're not going to stay there. It's just to kind of there is a divide, isn't there, between someone that I could not do what you do. Not because I don't find it interesting. I love the voice. I absolutely love the voice and what it's capable of. Because literally, we're talking of vocal cords no bigger than my. Is that right? They're really tiny. They're
Something
really,
like that, yeah.
and the fact that they can elongate and
Mm.
like, okay, mind blown. Mind blown. I just, but I think there's a reason why people teach. It's like you've got to have that certain quality. I think not everyone can be a teacher to pass on. But I find it so interesting. Before I let you go, that I said it just a few reactions ago, that once I sing a song and have sang it, given it to you, it no longer belongs to me. And I really do believe that. And I think singing is one of the most selfless acts a person can and do. You know, giving it out to a group of people that follow you, dig you, really respect you, and you know, because if I always had that song up there, it's not to say I'm never going to sing it again, but it'll be in another time, another environment, another universe. It's I can move on to the next one. So it's like file from the filing cabinet, right onto the next one. And I'm very like that. I'm very selfless. You know, I don't like to keep things for myself. Never have. I'm more about. This sounds so corny. I'm more about people.
No, you're absolute that is a way of looking at it that stops your ego. It stops it being about you. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this song with this amazing high note and everyone's gonna pat me on the back, you're gonna be stressed if you have that mindset, because if you don't get the pat on the back, or if it doesn't feel like you thought it was gonna feel,
Yeah.
your self-esteem goes up and down with an external reaction, you know. But if it's like, well, I've got this for you all and it's a gift,
Yeah.
if some people reject your gift, you're not going to take it personally. Like,
No.
well, they didn't like that gift, but the ones that did, you know, it was for them, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a more loose way of wear it like a loose garment instead of being so like Gollum over our singing, you know. Yeah, exactly. And it's like you let out the bag, like, or do they like it? Well, I'll put it back in then, you know. And it becomes this whole ego thing, you know, which doesn't make you happy, you know.
I certainly noticed. I will eventually let you go and get ready. But, this is a very good. And next time you're on, we can tap into this a bit. I feel that you know it when you first start, you're very like, this is mine. It's like, uh, and I go back to like talking about the journey. Cats fighting. Can you two stop? And it's in hindsight, you can only really view it from hindsight once. Oh God, did I used to be that bad about songs? You know what I mean? And especially if you recall like gigs where you knew you had that mindset, and oh, they're gonna love this. I mean, I did a very early gig, still in training with you. Recently found my tone, and it was actually a Pride gig I did. And I thought they're gonna lap this up. Yeah, yes, sir, I can boogie. Well,
Yeah.
it's got that nice B, which I put in my counter tenor range. Crickets.
Yeah, that always
Cricket.
happens. Yeah, I know.
I'm,
And they
and I,
like the stuff that you're not that impressed with. Like that
yeah,
happens on my YouTube channel. When people see my channel, I always get the best comments over my Dionne Warwick stuff, my Tracy Chapman, all the the mellow stuff that I class as easy, even though it's not, because it's about tone and precision.
Yeah.
And then I'll put some Led Zeppelin on there. I'll be like, oh, I'm like, well, you should have a look at this one. I'm really proud of this one, skips to the high F. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. But I really loved your Tracy Chapman. I'm like, that's telling me something, like, and I was like, okay, I need to drop the idea of, I mean, this is what we do, right? Louder, higher, more hard hitting. The things that impress us are not necessarily the things that impress everybody else.
I mean, it's like, you have these thoughts even when you're warming up. Well, at least I do. I'm thinking, oh, nailed that B in my full chest voice as a tenor.
Yeah.
But would that translate, outside in an open air venue if I was doing a Pride like performance? I mean, in a way, it's brilliant though, because you're not busting a gut, are you? Like I mean, everyone talks about money notes, money notes. It's all in the money notes. It's all about the fifth octave. And
No, whoever
it's
says that
not.
is wrong. Like, you're gonna say that to Roberta Flack,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
it's not. It's absolutely
Well,
not that.
Nina Simone. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know her complete range, but the way she told a story. I mean, I was like in tears the first time I came across her album at 14 years old. There was something in her tone that like demanded you sit down and listen up, because I've got something
Yeah.
to tell you. It's
Yeah.
like, it's wild. Thank you, Rachel. It's been amazing. Amazing. Something I forgot to ask you for the first live stream was your YouTube channel. Bad YouTuber. So do you want to shout out your YouTube channel where the guys can come and follow your stuff?
I think it's just Rachel Gerard. I set it up years ago and I've never changed the if you type in Rachel Gerard, it should come up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've tried it actually. I mean, I've been subscribed for years and years. But I think your one is the top hit.
Yeah, it will be.
One of the top hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, go and find Rachel on YouTube. She is amazing. She is the poor woman that has to put up with me.
It's
been
my
a journey.
pleasure.
It's been a journey, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel, and we'll see you soon.
All right then.
Right, what am I doing? I've done. All right, okay, bye. Oh, lovely, Rachel. There. Thank you so much for joining us on this one. I'm sorry we didn't manage to get to your questions. Presumably they're questions, or just like saying hi, Rachel, hi. It's been a very interesting topic, I feel. And of course, Rachel will be back next month. So look out for some more Rachel. I'm next back with it. Well, I've got to do some more filming because the first one got blocked. Okay, I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but we're gonna do something tonight. Okay. I will see you later on tonight. Thank you again. And yeah, bank and bosh.